You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, do you have an idea for a podcast but don't know where to start? Or do you have an already existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Well, check out WeKnowPodcasting.com. From concept development to theme music to editing to logos, WeKnowPodcasting.com is a one-stop shop for all things pod. Don't hesitate to hit us up. We're very nice. We have 100 episodes under our belts now, and somehow it took us this long to talk about a-ha, arguably the most beloved 80s one-hit wonder ever released. It felt like it was time to fix this and dive into the song that's been making people push their falsetto to the limit at karaoke bars around the world.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever.
And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
100 episodes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We've done 100 episodes. For our 100th episode, we're going to talk about something that's questionable if it's a one-hit wonder. So
Really?
yeah.
No, this is not questionable whatsoever. This is a song I can't believe it's taken us 100 episodes to talk about, first of all.
So they actually had a second top 20 hit, and we'll get into that. But even in their Wikipedia, it says, as the years passed, the only song that people remembered and endured was Take On Me, and they are widely considered a one-hit wonder. So
Are you telling me that The Sun Always Shines on TV was...
a top 20 hit?
Dude.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that song.
so-
I heard it for the first time ever today. Nobody knows that song.
So let's get into a-ha. Here's one thing I'm going to tell you that I think is pretty cool. They started as a trio, and as of 2022, the band is still the exact same three guys that started the band in 1985. Never had a band member change.
They're still a band.
They're still a band.
When's the last time they put out an album?
They have an album coming out next year.
Wow. Okay.
So,
All right.
So they never gave up. They got their name. They were trying to find a name for the band, and they were looking through an English dictionary to try to find an English word because they're like, we're Norwegian, we got a hit in the States. And instead, they were looking at each other's songbooks, and someone had a song called a-ha. And the direct quote from the lead vocalist was, "It was a terrible song, but a great name."
I like the name.
Yeah. And the other fun fact that I learned before they ever recorded a song was they selected the studio in which they would record and the producer who they would work with, who would later become their manager because he owned a Space Invaders cabinet.
Wow. That's cool. I mean, that's about as 80s as it gets. And this song is, I would say this is the song of the 80s. When you think of the 80s, this is the first song I think of.
I think that that's a fair argument. I think that it is the 80s song. It was the first song they ever wrote as a group. Just
Whoa.
like knocked it out of the park day one.
Damn, that is like starting at the top and then just going. I mean, obviously, I haven't listened to their whole catalog. I'm sure they have some other great songs. What we dove into as far as other songs that were singles and stuff, it's not that they were bad. It's just not
The same.
memorable.
Yeah.
Not memorable. This is like the most memorable song possible.
And this song almost didn't work for them. They tried to release it 2 separate times and it didn't chart. And then they released a music video.
Yeah.
And if we want to talk about the power of MTV, this song that no radio station would touch, a music video drops that is like widely considered one of the most groundbreaking music videos of the 80s. And it skyrocketed this to number 1. It was a number 1 Billboard hit.
The music video, and I would be surprised if anyone out there hasn't seen it. It's been parodied, and it's very iconic music video, but basically where the human characters turn into animated
sketches. They're not
yeah.
even like cartoons, really. They're just sketches in a sketch pad, which is cool.
Right. Yeah, it's a really cool. It would be a cool video if it came out now.
Yeah. It's really, really dope.
Yeah,
Like it's groundbreaking. Like that is the word to use to describe it.
Yeah, it's great. Also, yeah, probably with maybe the exception of Sledgehammer, and some would argue there's a few Michael Jackson videos that you could throw in there, but probably the best music video of the 80s. But I get that. I get that the music video is what launched the song into superstardom, but I think the song stands on its own too.
Talking about that music video, according to the Wikipedia page, it actually said that the music video is considered one of the most distinctive videos from the 80s, and that on February 17th of 2020, it was the 5th music video to have 1 billion views on YouTube. Do you know what the other 4 videos were that got there first?
Oh, is Thriller one of them?
No. Shockingly.
So it's not like Taylor Swift or Bieber.
I was shocked to see this. There's 2 Guns N' Roses songs.
Oh.
So Sweet Child of Mine and November Rain, Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, and Queen Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, I can't believe that it's not like Drake and Taylor Swift.
Oh, hold on a second. I may have missed a key thing here. Sorry. One of only 5 songs of the entire 20th century. So I guess we're now in the 21st century.
Right. I was going to say, Drake definitely has some.
I was going to say, as you were saying that, I'm like, yeah, no, I feel like Gundam Style may have broken a billion views by now.
Justin Bieber's definitely broken a billion.
Okay, so of the 20th century, so of the pre-YouTube era, it's only one of 5 music videos to ever crack that.
All right. Well, Justified, like we said, it's a great video, but
I think it's the best of those 5. As far as music videos go.
So you said the 2 Guns N' Roses were...
Sweet Child of Mine, which is literally just them playing in a practice space, basically.
Yeah, I think that's just on the song.
And then November Rain, like it's an impressive video, but I think that Take On Me is a better video.
What were the other 2?
Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit and Queen Bohemian Rhapsody. Like they're all... Like those 3 are all iconic videos, but I think Aha's the most impressive of them, just for... time and the quality of it.
Right. We're not saying the song, we're saying the music video.
Yeah, the music video.
I'll agree with that. But the song stands on its... I'm surprised that it took the music video, because the song is... Every moment of this song is so memorable. It's got every element of the 80s that you can imagine. It's got... The singer has one of those very 80s European voices.
Yep.
The synth sounds that were very popular in the 80s. It's got, obviously those elements of electronic music that became very popular in the 80s. And it's got a chorus with the high notes that are fun to sing or try to sing. And it's so memorable.
I think it's something you said on the Gautier episode where like there's some songs where because they bounce all over in range, they're like you said, really fun to sing along with. And I think that this song has that even in the verses. Because you go from that low to the high real quick, where it's like, talking away, I don't know what's left to say, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, it's nonstop fun melodies all over the place. I think it's great. I mean, it's been pounded into our heads a good bit, and it is the 80s song, but I can't deny this song.
And there's been a lot of great covers of it too. Like Real Big Fish did a good cover of it. I've heard some beautiful acoustic renditions of it too. Like it feels like a song that as much as it's tied to that 80s synth sound, it transposes into other genres very smoothly.
Yeah, when are we getting the country version of this one?
I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah, I bet there is a country version of this, and I bet it sucks.
But this song, like you said, it propelled them to number 1 and made them the first Norwegian band to ever have a number 1 US hit. Yeah,
I don't even know.
I don't know if there was ever a second.
I don't know, like, what other Norwegian artists am I not thinking of? Yeah. Who would I even know?
Was the Cardigans, were they Norwegian or no? They were Swedish.
Swedish, yeah. Sweden's had their share of artists, but Norway, I don't know.
So here's one of the, you know how like you always see those things where it's like, what was the number 1 song when you were born? And like, you can like, so this is the number 1 song the day I was born.
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah. It was it was number 1 for 1 week.
Wow.
I gotta say, I'm looking at the Billboard, all the number 1 hits for 1985. This was a weird year.
Yeah.
This was a really weird year. Not many songs lasted more than a week or 2 as the number 1 hit. Like it was constantly rotating out. Like Tears for Fears had a couple that lasted a while. We Are the World, Careless Whisper, and Like a Virgin were like the biggest singles of the whole year. Mm-hmm. This is how much jumping around happened towards the later end of the year. Because from basically in September, the number one song was Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. From that point on, basically no song could hold the number one spot for more than a week or two. And I don't know most of these. Ready for the World, Oh Sheila.
Oh Sheila. Yeah, that's a good jam.
Okay. Then it was Take On Me. Then it was Whitney Houston, Saving All My Love for You.
Saving all my love.
Okay, I do know that one. I was like, I don't recognize that title.
Oh, so good.
Stevie Wonder, Part-Time Lover.
Oh, do. So good.
The Miami Vice theme song.
No. Jonathan London probably likes that one.
Starship, We Built This City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that one held it for 2 whole days. Phil Collins, Separate Lives. I barely know that song.
I think if I heard it, I would recognize it, but I can't think of what it is.
And then rounding out December was Mr. Broken Wings.
Oh.
And Lionel Richie's Say You, Say Me.
I like most of those songs.
I think that, but it's like, it's just like, Oh Sheila had it for 1 week. Aha had it for 1 week. Whitney had it for 1 week.
Yeah.
Stevie had, like, I was just like, what was happening where people were just like, all right, over it. Next song.
Just a lot of good songs.
There was too much battle. And the only reason I did it this way, this is the other thing, is normally I'll be like, oh, here's all the songs that were like in the top 10 when this was the number one hit. I just read them all. Like, it was literally everything that was in the top 10. They just cycled their way into number one eventually.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool. And what was determining that? Radio airplay, or people going out and buying cassette singles? That, I mean, I guess both of those things are factored in.
I guess that's factored. Does this ever say in here?
Well, it doesn't matter.
No, I mean, I don't know. That is good to know. But yeah,
your point is that it wasn't like Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey holding the top spot for
like 15 weeks or something crazy. Yeah. No, there was none of that. So then they released their second single, right? Take On Me. It's massive. They released a second single, The Sun Always Shines on TV. It's a top 20 hit, and it also has a popular music video.
Really?
And this is where Aha gets a really cool distinction. That video also gets nominated for a ton of music videos, leading to a combined 11 nominations and 8 wins between 2 music videos, which was the highest combination that anyone had ever had for 2 videos consecutively. The next year, Peter Gabriel beat it by having 2 music videos where it was a combined 13 nominations and 9 wins. But since 1986, even as they've added more video categories, no artist has ever matched it.
Wow. For Peter Gabriel, it had to be Big Time and Sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer. Right? That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which, like, Big Time is fun, but it's basically just like Sledgehammer 2.0. Like, it was like, well, this worked. Let's just do it again.
Right. From what I remember of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but I thought that's kind of cool that they're in the record books with Peter Gabriel for this, like, thing that has only been achieved twice.
But how do... I mean, you and I for sure, and I'd assume 99% of the listeners don't remember this other Aha song or the video.
Nope, not at all.
And why is that?
I don't know. I'm wondering if the flip side is maybe it's exactly like what happened with Peter Gabriel, where if you watch it, it's basically just Take On Me music video 2.0. Like they just... I think I've seen it once, and I do think it's almost like a sequel to Take On Me. Like it's like more of the sketch romance continuing in the sketch pad type thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
They were big on music video sequels in the 80s, I think.
I guess so. Okay, and we listened to the song, and the song was not memorable to me.
Can't tell you a single thing. We listened to it 30 minutes ago, and it's gone.
It did not stand out. Although I feel if I would have heard Take On Me for the first time, I would still remember it now.
Because you just be like, ba, 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 ba. Like, even if you didn't remember any of the words, that hook in the musicianship is like locked and loaded in there.
Yeah.
So... in 1986, this is still the epic tale of just their first year as a band.
The number you have reached is 100.7 WMMS.
It wasn't just a radio station, it was a lifestyle.
Cleveland is a rock and roll city for sure.
Get down! The Wrath of the Buzzard. WMMS. Cleveland.
The rise and fall of one of the most iconic radio stations in America. Profiles, The Wrath of the Buzzard, PROH Files. Subscribe now wherever you get podcasts.
Hey there, I am Johnny Christ from Avenged Sevenfold, and I've got a podcast called Drinks with Johnny you're going to want to check out. I sit down with a bunch of different people from all different walks of life, from professional wrestlers to actors, comedians, fighters, musicians, everything in between. I'm just looking to make some friends and have a good time doing it. So if that sounds like something you're into, go check out Drinks with Johnny, streaming everywhere now.
They were nominated for Best New Artist Grammy, but they lost to Sade.
You mean Sade?
Whatever. Same thing.
Sade.
Sade. Sade. Spelling's there.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Yeah. Sade, for those who don't know, is a very iconic soul artist, very well known for Sweetest Taboo. And a lot of babies were made to Sade over the years. Okay.
Or to my eyes, it's Shade without an H.
Or Sade.
Or Sade.
As Matt likes to refer to Sade. Okay.
So as much as we're talking a lot of trash on The Sun Always Shines on TV, it's actually their only number one hit in the UK.
Wow.
It outcharted Take On Me.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But across Europe, they had multiple hits. Like, this is one of the situations where it's debatably a one-hit wonder in the States, but they are definitely not a one-hit wonder in a lot of other countries. But they remained active throughout the rest of the 80s into the 90s. They even performed at the 1994 Winter Olympics when it was held at Norway. Then they went on a 4-year hiatus so they could do some solo work, but then came back in 1998 and just continued to release albums and tour until 2007, and even performed at the 2005 Live Aid in Berlin.
I give them a lot of credit for that. I mean, that's what I complain about artists. That's what I complain about. Like, Five had a giant hit and then
bye.
Broke. Yeah. Then they're like, oh, peace, we're out of here. Fucking idiots. That's awesome. I've thought about this, and I know you have too, but 1985, Take On Me comes out.
Yeah.
It's the most 80s song ever. It's right in the middle of the 80s. Back to the Future's coming out. All this 80s stuff. All these.
Yeah, Power of Love, number one hit just a couple weeks prior.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you believe... And now think about 1994, which is a very...
Grunge is just starting to trail off because Kurt Cobain's dead.
Okay,
that's the music's landscape at that point.
Okay, let's even talk, grunge, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Can you believe there's only like 6 or 7 years between Take On Me and Smells Like Teen Spirit?
It's insane.
How is that possible? Because think about, like, we're recording this in 2021. 6 or 7 years ago is 2014, 2015. I mean, what are we talking? We're talking about Drake. We might be talking about... Used to call me on my cell phone.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here, is like that gap that seems like nothing to me. These songs that came out in 2014 seem still like, oh, you know what was popular around then was like the Fetty Wap and stuff like that, which doesn't seem that long ago to me. But think about the difference between Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, and Take On Me, and we're talking about 1,800 days, 1,500 to 1,800 days between when Nirvana happened and Take On Me is topping the charts. That's such a short time for there to be such a musical evolution. And throw hair metal in there, in between there.
Yeah, that just happened to pop up in the middle. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to look. So 2014, the number one song, according to Billboard's end of the year everything, was Happy. Pharrell.
Okay.
That doesn't feel that far away. And it doesn't feel that distinct from what's still coming out.
Yeah, if Happy came out today, it would still be... Yeah, it doesn't sound different from music. Yeah.
It was also the year of Magic Rude. It was the seventh biggest song of the year.
Okay.
So.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, are we that past Magic Rude yet? If Magic Rude...
I don't think so. I'm looking at this and it's Pompeii by Bastille. That song I think would still hit if it came out in 2021. Shake It Off by Taylor Swift would still, I think, be a hit.
Yeah. I mean...
Turn Down for What by DJ Snake featuring Little John. I think that those songs would still fit into the modern radio.
Turn Down for What does seem kind of old now, but Shake It Off, if that came out today, that would still be a hit for Taylor. I mean, Taylor Swift has just kind of evolved into less of a straight up pop artist and collaborating with Bon Iver and stuff.
I'd say this, actually. Honestly, I guess what the point is I'm looking at this list of artists. I'm looking at the artists who had the 20 biggest hits of 2014, and most of them are still in the public conscience.
Yeah.
Pharrell, Katy Perry, John Legend, Iggy Azalea, Jason Derulo, Meghan Trainor, Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande?
Yeah.
I love you.
Sorry.
I love your pronunciation of artists.
They're ballpark, whatever. I'm close.
You combine a Game of Thrones character with Ariana Grande, which I love it. I love it.
Pitbull, Taylor Swift, Eminem, Christina Aguilera, and Lorde. Like, I feel like all of a big chunk of those artists are still putting out songs that are like doing well 6 years later.
Sure, people still know who they are. Like, some of those that you named in there, I'm like, okay, they've really dropped off. They haven't released anything anymore, but people still remember them.
Yeah.
Most of those artists. But I think when people were listening to Nirvana, I don't think
they're not thinking of Aha.
I don't think people were going like, hey, did you hear the new Aha? I don't think people were listening to Nevermind and saying that. Whereas, some of those artists,
Yeah, this song makes me think about when the sun always shines on TV.
Yeah. Things really moved fast. The musical landscape sure changed quickly.
Really quickly. I mean, you could we're always talking about podcasts. Talk about a podcast that's just analyzing the 5-year gap, say, between 1986 to 1991. Just like tracking what's happening to try to pace out, like, what was like the nuclear explosion that just flipped a switch.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Even the sounds of the recordings changed so much between. I mean, once again, this is kind of an anomaly when we're talking about Nirvana. Like when it comes to the mainstream and like something that sounded so raw.
I don't think it'll ever happen again, honestly. I don't think something on that level will ever happen again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it might take a really long time. But that aside, back to Aha.
So, I mean, we can wrap this up in a couple quick stories. 2010, after the release of their 9th album, they officially parted ways. 2015, there was rumors of the 30-year anniversary of Take On Me that they might reunite, and they did, and released a 10th album. 2017, they recorded an episode of MTV Unplugged. So there's an Aha MTV Unplugged out there. And then of June of this year, Aha the movie premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Wow.
About a documentary about the history of the band that was filmed on a bunch of their tours over the last couple of years. And they have another film and album expected to drop next year.
Wow. I got to dig in. We were doing this episode on spur of the moment, kind of. Matt sitting in my kitchen, and we did this spur of the moment. And now I got to dig in more on Aha, I guess. I didn't realize this is a very long running band. We're talking 36 years since their hit. And I don't know how long they were together even. Oh, that was their first song.
That was their first song, yeah. So that was the first thing they wrote. Obviously, the song is like unescapable, popped into countless movies, video games, TV shows. Like, it's not worth even listing everything because it's like the go-to, like you said, it is the go-to 80s parody. Mm-hmm. If you're watching a cartoon like Family Guy, they're going to do a Take On Me parody at some point. Mm-hmm. If you're watching The Simpsons, they'll find a way to do it. South Park, like, it is the go-to music video to parody if you're trying to do something from the 80s.
Right. Did Weird Al ever parody this?
I think he did the visual style in like the UHF music video, but I know he never did a direct Take On Me parody. It might be in a polka.
What would have been his parody of Take On Me?
I was like, it might be food related and be something about peas.
Take on peas. I don't know. That's a stretch. Bake on me.
Oh my God. We forgot to also mention, we brought up the covers. We brought up like Real Big Fish. Weezer topped the charts very recently with a Take On Me cover. Not a particularly good one, but like...
Dude, those Weezer covers...
That was a bad album.
I just mean, they picked like the most overdone, like covered a million times songs. Like,
yeah, it was and they didn't do anything interesting or unique with any of them.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking they did do a music video for Take On Me. It was Africa was the one that like fucking blew up for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Did they do Take On Me on that too?
Here's where this cover album is insane to me. So here's the full track list. Africa. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. Take On Me. Happy Together. Paranoid by Black Sabbath. Mr. Blue Sky by ELO. No Scrubs by TLC, Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, and then Stand By Me.
Yeah, it was a lot of like on the nose. Like Africa was just like, oh, this song's already like come back into resurgence among people. People already like this song again a lot, and then they did it it felt like too late or something.
I think if I remember correctly, that whole thing stemmed from someone tweeted at them.
Yes.
And they were like, all right, we'll do this.
Right.
Like as a joke. And then I don't think they expected it to skyrocket on the charts at all.
I guess I can't blame them. Yeah. Okay, if that works, fine. We'll do it. Weezer's one of the greatest bands ever. So influential, especially those first few albums. And then I could see the argument. I could see people arguing that Weezer's one of the best bands of all time. I could see someone arguing Weezer's one of the worst bands of all time. It's like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think you can argue either side and have some legit points. Sometimes I know my own band, I think artists in general tend to overthink things and really be too precious. No one can accuse Weezer of that. Weezer has constantly been putting out albums. Usually they have at least a few good songs. Usually they have some really bad songs on them. No one can say that they don't put out music.
They
wait.
Definitely do.
Yeah, they put out a lot of music, and whether that's a good or bad thing, I think if Weezer ceased to exist tomorrow, give us a year or two, and a lot of us who like music are going to be like, oh man, we didn't appreciate Weezer. Weezer was coming around on tours and stuff, and I wasn't even going and seeing them. And I think that's where we're at with them. Whatever. That's beside the point.
To a-ha.
Yeah.
We'll jump back to a-ha. I mean, they're an interesting band. I love their longevity.
Yes.
I love that for close to nearing 40 years now, they have never changed their lineup. It's just been these three dudes writing tunes and touring the world. And there's something kind of inspirational in that, where it's just they had their hit, and like you said, it's the opposite of some of these other bands where they had their hit, they couldn't get a second hit, so they just hung up the towel, threw in the towel and called it a day.
Well, apparently they were very successful in Europe, more so than in the United States after that. So it's not like they had no success at all after that. They've apparently had long success, and which all got kick-started with this song, with Take On Me, and I give them a lot of credit for that. And now I want to see this documentary, and I want to hear the more recent music. I think that you got to give them a thunder for a band that, with their first song ever, were able to make a 36-plus year career out of it. I think that is the definition of thunder, and something that I complain about a lot of the bullshit artists that we've talked about on here not doing, getting the hit, crying about the hit, that's, complaining about having one hit. I don't think this band has done that. I think they've made a long career out of it. I say thunder.
And I agree with you. I mean, like you said earlier too, an artist that I can't believe it took us 100 episodes to even get around to. The quintessential 80s one-hit wonder.
This could have been our first episode.
It probably should have been.
Yeah.
But it was whatever. We saved it for 100.
Yeah.
You had to stick around to earn the aha.
Yeah,
but
sure. This is our aha moment.
And that's the end of the episode.
I've heard stories through silence, and we laugh at the end and declare that today was the best day we've lived. But the end of the night draws a calm to the dark, where I dream.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Fafalios of the bands Punchline, Pack, and Another Cheetah, and produced by Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing the Punchline piano rendition of The Coldest of Calendars that you can find on their B-Sides compilation, Night Lights. Visit punchline.com for information on future Punchline shows, releases, and merchandise. We're on Patreon now. Visit us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for bonus material, early access to episodes, and a chance to help us decide what songs we should discuss in future episodes. Do you want to hear your song on the show or have an interest in sponsoring an episode? Contact me at matt@geekscape.net for our rates. If you have any interest in podcasting, visit weknowpodcasting.com for how Matt and Chris can make your show sound as professional as possible. Let us know your thoughts on the show by emailing us at onehitthunderpodcast@gmail.com, and make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app. Tune in next week for another episode of One Hit Thunder.
There's a letter here waiting to go in the mail. In my head it's all there, but I'm not quite prepared to fade away. Don't fade away. Somehow I'm trying to do this right.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
The number you have reached is 100.7 WMMS.
It wasn't just a radio station, it was a lifestyle.
Cleveland is a rock and roll city for sure.
Get down! The Wrath of the Buzzard. WMMS. Cleveland.
The rise and fall of one of the most iconic radio stations in America. Profiles, The Wrath of the Buzzard. PROH Files. Subscribe now wherever you get podcasts.
Hi, this is Krista Makes, host of Krista Makes a Podcast. The theme of the podcast is songwriting. Each week, my musical guest picks a defining song from their career to discuss, critique, and analyze during the show. So please join me for some fun and insight into some of the greatest songs ever written and recorded. Listen and subscribe at soundtalentmedia.com.